Hi guys, well it's raining again here in Adelaide, but fortunately I did get a week of good weather and went into some solid painting. I think I told you that the CX650 CAF racer at the DGR, the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, got knocked over and put a dent in the tank. It drove me wild. So pulled the dent out, a little bit of filler, repainted the tank. So I thought, I've got two spare tanks, so I thought I'll paint up another one as well. So I'll give you a quick look at the painting I've done, and then we're into assembling the monoshock CAF racer. So okay, just looking at the CX650 black CAF racer. She's all back to normal again, which I'm happy about. And I decided to make a spare tank for it. It's a good tank, that. Had a couple of dents in it, pulled them out. Got the two guards painted for the monoshock, or the Euro CAF racer we're building. And so we're into earnest in getting this one back together now. I've done the tank. Here's the design that I've done on the tank. It's black, gold and silver. And the cowl has been done as well. So yeah, the first thing I'm probably going to do here is work on the forks. The forks are all been painted and overhauled, but I do have to set the limit on the triple tree. So I've marked them out where they should go, and I'll put some stops in to the lower triple tree. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to do. Okay, I'm just about to assemble the forks, and the first thing I've had to do was refit the tank, put the fork tubes in, and just see the limits of the triple clamp to make sure that the forks didn't hit the tank in any way. So I've made up, drilled and fitted these lugs, so they're basically just stainless steel 8mm cap head bolts with a couple of nuts on and turned down, and then drilled to limit the position of the forks. Also made up a bracket for the back here to mount the T-junction for the hydraulics for the brakes. So next to fit the top of the triple clamp and get the tubes in. Okay, the two triple clamps are together now. The next thing to do is to put in the fork tubes, fork legs. And I've just had the Tomaselli clip-ons come in. Now these Tomaselli clip-on bars, they come in sizes like 45 and 50 mil inside diameter. My forks are 47, so I ordered a 50 mil set of clip-ons, but I've got to make a spacer to go between this and the fork legs to so it'll all clamp up nice and tight. So yeah, that's the next thing I've got to make, is a 47 to 50 mil spacer. Okay, I've made up two spacers with 50 mil OD, 47 mil ID, 46 mil ID, and just slit them so they can compress. That's going to go into the 50 mil bore of the Tomaselli clip-on, like so, and then this will go onto the forks. Okay, I've got the right hand fork tube here. They are labelled on the lower leg. They do have an R and an L, so that's going to go in here. And then this will go on top. I'm kind of lucky really with this front end, because I've got the template, the other bike to use as a template. So I'll set it up exactly the same. Okay, this has got to go here. I've got to unloosen that to rotate this out, set them up right. We'll just get that over that sleeve. Okay, so all I've got to do now is just set that up in the right position. Really, it's okay, it's just sitting there at the moment, but we'll get that set up and that should be nice and tight on the fork tubes. Okay, I haven't fully tightened it. These will get tensioned up when they're in the right position, but they tighten up quite tight actually. But that's the bars on. Okay, that's the fork legs on, and the triple clamps on, the headlight and speedo brackets on, the clip-ons are on. Just checking the clearance on the tank, and that looks all good for the not for any of the forks hitting the tanks. We've got plenty of clearance there. So, yeah, let's just have a look at the bars there. But yeah, we've got plenty of clearance on there now. I'm quite happy with that. Okay, the front wheel is on, and that gets tension to 110 Newton meters. There she is there. And the pinch bolts, they get tension to 20 Newton meters. Okay, so on the other side. Okay, so that's the front wheel on. Next thing I'll put on is the brake calipers. Okay, next to go on is the Takiko calipers. Okay, caliper bolts get tensioned up to 34 Newton meters. That's them done. Get the other one on. Well, that's the two calipers on. That's basically the front end sort of done, you know, like I've got to go through and check everything on the top end, set up and make a guard for, well, the guard's alright, but I've got to make brackets for that. But I think the next thing I'm going to do is pull the back wheel out, get the guard in there and the drive shaft. So that'll be the next thing to do. Okay, I've now removed the wheel, fitted the rear guard, and it's time to get this drive shaft into the final drive and get it back on the swinging arm. So I'm just putting some grease in here, make sure we've got plenty of grease in there, molybdenum grease. Okay, and then here's the drive shaft. It's got a spring, spline and a seal on the end. And this goes into here. And we just turn that till it locates in, pushes in. Now put grease on the middle spline as well. So now that can go back into the swing arm tunnel. Well, actually you can't, can it? That's got to go in there. Couple of nuts on. Just to hold it. And then we go to the other end. Okay, we've got the final drive in position now with the drive shaft fitted into the final drive. Now you have to remove the universal joint because the universal joint won't go through here. So take the universal joint off, fit the drive shaft into the final drive, and then both those pieces get bolted on the swing arm, and then you go to the other end and fit the universal joint ready to be connected to the motor. Okay, the axle bolt, it gets tensions to 80 Newton meters. That's it. The 4 bolts on the final drive, they get tension to 30 Newton meters. Alrighty, that's them done. There's just the pinch bolt on the other side. The pinch bolt on this side, it gets tension to 30 Newton meters as well. All I've got to do now is tighten up the bolts on the brake torsion arm. Okay, it's time to start getting the motor in, so the first thing I've got to do is get the boot onto the final drive. So we'll get that on here. That clips in over there. Yeah, that's in there. That's nicely on. Drive shaft's there ready. Put a bit of grease on that. And the circlip's on there. Okay, that's the drive shaft on. That's got to go a little bit deeper. Okay, I've got the 3 rear bolts in. The big long one and the 2 short ones with the nuts on. Now it's time to get the engine mounts on. And the right hand engine mount has the mounting for the radiator. That can go on here, which should go on like that. Just put a little smear of grease on those shafts. It always makes it easy to take apart, you know. That goes on like that. The bolt goes through there. That's going to go in there. Just do that one for now. Bit of grease on this long one. That's him in. That's all the mounting bolts in now. Okay, the 10mm bolts, they get tensioned up to, I'm tensioning to 65. I think the maximum's 70. 40 to 70, quite a big range. And the 12mm bolts, they go to 80 Yeah, that's on 70, I'll do it up to 80. Okay, that's 80. That's it. Well, that's the motor. That's the motor in place now, guys. Next thing to do is to get the radiator on. Well, I'm just finishing putting the radiator in. Just tighten these bolts up and got the hoses on. And also I've got the wiring sitting up here, but I've actually sort of wired in a manual override on the fan, you know, because your circuit on the actual fan itself goes through the temperature switch, which is a normally open switch, so the fan doesn't run until the switch closes, makes the neutral, and the fan will start. Well, I won't actually be able to manually override it as well, so I've just wired into the neutral on the wiring and bring it up here, and I'll put a switch up here for manually overriding the fan. Really, all I'm doing at the moment is just getting all the physical pieces of the bike together, and then wiring will come a bit later on. I've got to make brackets like for the rear sets, gear shift, the speedo, and yeah, so I just sort of dropped some of these other components in. I've got the M unit blue to go in here. I'm going to use the original CX650 ignition, and I've got the voltage rectifier regulator here. That'll be mounted underneath. So yeah, I'll just get these parts mounted in, ready for later for wiring. I'm just cleaning off some of this paint here to make sure we've got a good yeah, that'll give it a good earth on the motor gadget. Okay, I've got the Moto Gadget M unit blue installed in position. I've got bolts going through the base, through underneath here. I probably will connect a neutral wire to the frame just to give it make absolutely sure we've got a good neutral on this unit. We've got our outputs are going to go here, our inputs are going to go there. And the beauty of these units that you don't need any fuses or in the system, because if it senses any sort of short or current overload, it'll just switch off and it'll indicate which one is the problem. If it's your rear tail light that arcs out, it'll come up as on the light, a light on here that'll be on constant, saying that there's a problem with the tail light. So they're an excellent little unit, and you know, okay, they're $500, but you know, it's such a good system on a motorbike. Oh, I love them. Okay, well, most of the components are mounted here now. We'll just go through them. The battery's going to go here. I'll have a lithium-ion battery sitting here with a couple of mounting points to house that. That'll go underneath the cowl. I have the starter solenoid in here. Then the motor gadget and the two transistor units for the ignition system. Using the standard Honda CX650 ignition system. Here's the loom here. One connection goes down to the breaker unit on the motor. The other two go into the two units here. This will be tidied up and soldered to earth. And I've got the black and white wire which will be soldered into the loom and then into one of the ignition port on the motor gadget, and that'll that'll be the ignition system done. Underneath I've got the rectifier, regulator rectifier, and here we've got a Kawasaki lock, seating lock. It's got a small cable out here, which I'll make up a little bracket for that to tidy that up. You can see the rectifier underneath the seat there, or the electrical sort of tray that I've got. But yeah, here's the loom going down to the ignition timing unit. Other one going to the coils. These two go to the transistors. This goes to earth, and I've got my signal wire to the motor gadget, and that's the ignition all done. The carby's got to go on. I'm waiting for the guy that's got the jets. He's hard to get hold of. I need a 90 and a 125 jet for each carby, and I'll get them on. But yeah, sort of getting. I've got to make the housing for the speedo, which is it'll be the same as this one. It'll be the exact same as this unit here, which is speedo will fit into a round housing like that. Well, that's it for this episode, guys. This is the first part of the assembly. Plenty of work still to go on. I've got to make the exhaust system. I'm going to make my own exhaust system. I'm going to bring it out here to the front. A couple of resonators, stainless steel resonators under here, and then tuck it out around about here. It's going to be different than the other one. Yeah, brackets to be made on here for the rear sets, brackets for the front guard. But yeah, she's getting there. So yeah, next episode will be further assembly of the CX650E.